This first deck is absolutely everywhere on ladder right now, and the streamers are losing their minds over it. Royal Hog's Goblin Hut. Royal Hog's Goblin Hut is a super cheap 3.1 elixir cycle deck that's all about constant pressure. The evolved Royal Hogs literally fly over to towers and smash them with fall damage. Like, they just bypass every single building your opponent places and go straight for the tower with bonus damage. Goblin Hut just sits there spawning. Spear goblins non-stop when a troop is nearby. Ice Wizard slows everything down so your hogs can actually connect. It's low-key satisfying watching enemy troops move in slow motion while your hogs are flying around destroying towers. You've got Evolved Royal Ghost, which catches people off guard every single time. Fireball for getting spell value on pumps and troops, Barbarian Barrel for clearing ground swarms, and cheap cards like Skeletons or Electro Spirit to keep cycling back to your hogs. In 2026's meta, this deck is crushing mid-ladder because it never stops pressuring. It punishes slow cycle decks that can't keep up and destroys beatdown builds that got hurt by the recent graveyard reworks. Best part, 0 heroes needed, only evolutions are necessary, so free-to-play players can actually afford to max it out without selling their soul to Supercell. The deck just never stops pressuring both lanes at once. You're constantly throwing flying hogs down one lane while Goblin Hut chips the other. Your opponent is having a terrible time trying to defend everywhere. The problem? If they have heavy air defense, you're getting shut down hard, but when played well, this deck can do a lot of damage. But if you think that's annoying to play against, this next one has people calling it straight up toxic. Expo Hero Knight. This deck has been making people rage quit since the balance changes dropped, and the emote spam is unreal. Expo Hero Knight is classic Siege, where you just lock onto towers from your side and chip them down slowly. Expo does low damage per shot, but it's so consistent that it drives people insane. Like, they're watching their tower health slowly disappear and there's nothing they can do about it. Hero Knight is your tank with his giant shield and he defends against literally everything. His ability is what makes him broken though. He taunts every enemy troop and building in a huge range, forcing them to attack him instead of your Expo. He gets a shield that lasts 5 seconds and everything just attacks him while your Expo locks onto the tower. Ground troops, air troops, doesn't matter. He's basically that one friend who refuses to let anything through. You're just sitting back playing tower defense while your opponent is struggling to even reach your side of the arena. Evolved archers hit harder from mid-range and pierce through multiple targets if they position at that sweet spot 4 to 6 tiles away and just deleting everything. Tesla is a great defense for your Expo as much as it is for defending fast cycles, which is kind of OP, not gonna lie. You've got Fireball and the Log for clearing swarms and buildings. The whole deck costs exactly 3.0 elixir, so you're cycling back to Expo super fast. Like, your opponent barely finishes defending one Expo and you already have another one down. After the January buffs to defensive buildings, this thing is everywhere on ladder and Expo players are eating good right now. In skilled hands, this deck is stupid consistent and your opponent will be unable to do anything but cry. It destroys bait and hog decks because you have answers for everything. The only real weakness is heavy air beatdown like Lava Loon because you just don't have enough anti-air firepower and you'll get cooked. So against this type of deck, play more cautiously and use your buildings defensively. Speaking of getting cooked, this next deck will have your opponent uninstalling Royal Giant Fisherman. If you've been on top ladder recently, you've definitely lost to this deck and immediately said that's so broken. Royal Giant Fisherman is all about that evolved Royal Giant shooting shockwaves at towers with extra knockback. Every single attack creates this 2.5 tile shockwave that damages and pushes back ground troops, which means swarms like Skeleton Army just get obliterated. But the real magic is Fisherman, who pulls enemy troops away from your Royal Giant or hooks them right into the shockwave range. Like, they try to defend with a mini P.E.K.K.A. and you just yank it away so your Royal Giant keeps hitting the tower for free. The Fisherman can also snipe buildings by hooking them from the middle of the river, helping your Royal Giant break through. It's giving main character energy. Hunter's in there shredding air units with his shotgun at close range. 10 pellets, spreading out, doing massive damage up close. The whole combo is absolutely bussin' when it works. Evolved Royal Ghost adds sneaky chip damage that catches people lacking. His invisibility lets him always attack first, so he can pick off ranged support troops like Musketeer or Wizard before they even see him coming. When he attacks while invisible, he spawns 2 soldiers, and suddenly your opponent is defending against 3 troops they didn't see coming. You can use him for quick pushes at the bridge, or send him across the river to snipe defensive buildings like Bomb Tower. Fireball and Barbarian Barrel handle swarms, while cheap cards keep you cycling at 3.0 elixir, so you're always pressuring. This deck has insane win rates on top ladder in early 2026 because it just destroys control decks. They try to defend slow and methodical, and you're just constantly pulling their troops out of position with Fishermen and overwhelming them with Royal Giant Shockwaves. The nerfs to Evo Skeleton Barrel death damage made this deck even stronger because one of its counters got weaker. Another deck with no heroes, making it perfect for players who don't want to spend money and still want to be cracked at the game. The Fisherman pull into Royal Giant combo is borderline broken, and the community is begging for nerfs. Fisherman yanks their defenders away so Royal Giant gets free tower damage, or hooks buildings from across the river so your Royal Giant can break through. Hunter melts tanks and air units before they even reach the bridge with his shotgun spread. Just don't play this into heavy air decks like Lava Loon or you're getting folded. Like actually getting destroyed because you don't have enough anti-air. But this next deck might actually be more broken if you can play it right, and it's making pros mauled. Mortar Hero Musketeer. This one requires actual skill, which is why you don't see it as much on mid-ladder where everyone's just spamming Mega Knight at the bridge. Mortar Hero Musketeer is a siege deck where the evolved mortar shoots way faster and spawns a goblin with every single shot. It just chips towers from across the map, while Hero Musketeer dominates everything with her long range. Her ability places a turret 3 tiles in front of her that acts as a distraction and attracts win conditions like Hog Rider or Royal Giant. The turret only lasts 10 seconds, so you use it reactively when they push, forcing them to deal with the building while your Mortar and Hero Musketeer get free damage. It's low-key satisfying watching their push get completely shut down by a turret that appears out of nowhere. When your Skeleton Barrel gets evolved after cycling twice, it becomes way more dangerous. The evolved Skeleton Barrel drops 2 barrels instead of 1, with the first barrel dropping at 75% health and the second at 0% health. Each barrel spawns 7 skeletons, and both barrels have death damage. This forces your opponent into impossible choices with their spells. If they spell the first barrel's skeletons, the second barrel is still coming. If they wait to spell both sets of skeletons, the first barrel's skeletons are already doing damage. The combined death damage from both barrels actually does more damage than a rocket, so even if they defend the skeletons, your tower is getting chunked. Knight tanks, minions handle air threats, and Fireball plus Barbarian Barrel clear everything else. The whole deck cycles at 3.0 elixir, so your mortar's up constantly. Like, they barely finish defending one mortar, and you already have another one locking onto their tower. You just outcycle opponents until they're out of answers. The turret ability is crucial for defense because it pulls tanks in win conditions away from your towers while your mortar keeps chipping theirs. This deck crushes, ground pushes, but you need perfect elixir management or you're throwing. One mistake against fast bait decks and you're done, GG go next. But if you master it, you'll climb ladder fast and feel like a god. Now let's talk about something completely different that's pure chaos and will tilt your opponent off the planet. Hero Giant Sparky. This deck is what happens when someone wakes up and chooses violence, and your opponent is about to have the worst game of their life. Hero Giant Minion Horde is a beatdown deck that controls the map with Swarms, Hero Giant, and Sparky. It's all about defending with Swarms and Sparky, then counter-pushing with Hero Giant alongside everything that survived. 6 minions from Minion Horde grouped up doing crazy DPS is honestly terrifying to watch. They just surround towers and delete them in seconds. It's giving Swarm City vibes. Mini P.E.K.K.A is in there destroying tanks and buildings with his insane damage. The whole strategy is filling the board with low-cost troops like Minion Horde and Skeleton Army to distract and overwhelm. Hero Giant's ability is what makes this broken though. He grabs the highest health enemy troop within 2 tiles and just yeets them across the arena, dealing damage when they land. Like they try to defend with P.E.K.K.A or Mega Knight and you just throw them to the other lane while your push keeps going. It completely removes their best defender. When your Skeleton Army gets evolved after 1 cycle, it spawns a general who makes all 15 skeletons invisible and invincible until he dies, which is honestly wild. Like, you kill all the skeletons and they just keep attacking until you kill the general. Sparky charges up and nukes everything with Chain Lightning. She's hitting 1 troop and the lightning chains to everything nearby doing massive area damage. When your Zap gets evolved, It leaves a zone on the ground that keeps stunning and damaging, resetting Inferno towers constantly. The deck averages 3.9 elixir, so you need to make smart trades early game. In 20re26 hero meta with the giant buffs, this deck creates massive pushes that steamroll towers. You stack everything behind hero giant and just walk forward. The best strategy is attacking the same lane as your opponent, so you can throw their offensive card to the other lane with hero giant's ability, leaving it unsupported and easy to kill. This deck uses one hero, so it's more accessible than double hero decks, but you still need 200 hero fragments. When you get a good push going, towers just disappear, and it's so satisfying. The incredible defensive potential lets you stop their push with swarms and Sparky, then overwhelm them on the counter. The problem is, tornado or lightning spells will ruin your entire day. Any good splash attack or spell can clear your swarms and slow your push completely. Buildings also hard counter this deck because Hero Giant's ability does nothing against them. You need to be smart about troop placement and never send everything at once when you know they still have arrows ready. But if you want something faster and way more annoying that'll make people spam the crying emote, check this out. Miner Balloon. This deck has the fastest cycle in the entire game right now, and people absolutely hate playing against it because it never stops coming. Miner Balloon is an old school cycle deck that's been around forever, but it's still super viable in 20d26's meta, with evolutions making it even stronger. The whole strategy is constant pressure that drives people insane. Miner can be placed anywhere on the arena for non-stop tower pokes, and he's basically that one annoying friend who won't leave you alone. Balloon threatens massive death damage with his bomb drop. Even if they defend the balloon, the bomb drops and explodes for huge damage. When your musketeer gets evolved after 2 cycles, she becomes insane for anti-air defense, keeping your pushes safe. The game plan is simple. In single elixir, you start with Miner on the tower to identify their deck and air counters. Switch up your Miner placements constantly because people will start predicting where you place him after just one attack. If you keep placing him in the same spot, you're getting no damage. Cycle with cheap cards like Skeletons, Spells, and Ice Golem. When Ice Golem reaches the bridge, drop Balloon behind it to force them to show their air defense. Play defensively and protect your Musketeer because she's your best counter push tool. When she survives on defense, put Ice Golem in front and send Balloon for sneaky chip. In double elixir, keep cycling cheap cards and making small Ice Golem Balloon pushes for death damage. If they play a high elixir troop in the back, immediately pressure opposite lane with Balloon to force positive trades. The key is shutting down their air counters. For ground counters, use predictive Miner placement to take them out. For air counters, snowball them back to delay their attacks. When your snowball gets evolved after 2 cycles, it rolls and pulls troops together instead of knocking them back, which groups up their defenders for easier spell value. Miner actually gets more damage than Balloon in most games with all the sneaky chip because you're constantly switching placements and keeping them guessing. When your skeletons get evolved after 2 cycles, you will have a stronger defense. Barbarian Barrel gives you chip damage plus spawns a Barbarian for defense, and Bomb Tower tanks ground troops and explodes when it dies. At only 2.9 elixir, you're cycling back to threats instantly and your opponent can't keep up. In overtime, don't attack unless they play expensive cards or cycle their air defense. Just keep getting Miner chip and outcycle them back to Bomb Tower on defense. 0 heroes needed, so this is bussin' for free-to-play players who still want to dominate ladder. Decks without buildings get absolutely destroyed. Like, if they don't have cannon or Tesla or something, your Balloon is just connecting every single time. Even against heavy defense, Miner guarantees you get value because you can place him anywhere. The only counter is having perfect air defense and spell timing every single time, which most people don't have. Alright, if you're into bait decks and making your opponent waste all their spells, this next one is absolutely disgusting. Wallbreakers Hero Mini P.E.K.K.A. Log bait players are already the most annoying people on ladder, but this version takes it to a whole new level of toxicity and people are calling for nerfs. Wallbreakers. Hero Mini P.E.K.K.A. is modern log bait that'll have your opponent tilting. Evolved Wallbreakers are that quick connection in the tower for rapid damage. When evolved, they are even stronger. They keep running even after you kill them and still blow up buildings. Once you bait out their log on Goblin Gang or something, the Wallbreakers just delete towers and it's over. Hero Mini P.E.K.K.A. obliterates tanks on defense with his insane damage. His ability is what makes him broken though. He eats pancakes to level up and heal 40% of his health. The longer you wait and the more he attacks, the more levels he gains when you activate the ability. With full meters, he can gain 5 extra levels, which makes him basically unstoppable. You use him to counter their tanks like P.E.K.K.A. or Golem, let him build up his ability meter by attacking, then pop the ability on the counter push. Suddenly he's 5 levels higher, healed up, and just destroys everything in his path, including towers. Pay attention to their card rotation, and save Hero Mini P.E.K.K.A. for their building targeting troops so he can build meters easily. When your Skeleton Barrel gets evolved after 2 cycles, it drops 2 barrels for constant spell baiting. The combined death damage does more than a rocket. Suspicious Bush stays invisible when you place it and spawns 2 Bush Goblins, catching people off guard. Goblin Gang for maximum swarm pressure. Dart Goblin snipes from long range, staying safe, and Rascals give you extra support and pressure. The 3.0 cycle forces your opponent to run out of spells eventually. Like, they can't keep using Log and Fireball forever. The whole strategy is making impossible choices with spells. This deck has crazy high win rates against spell-heavy decks like X-Bow or Mortar, no cap. Once they're out of spells, your wall breakers just end the game instantly. You need perfect bait timing though, because one mistake means you're getting 3 crowned. If you use your bait cards in the wrong order and they save Log for your wall breakers, you just lose. This deck does use a Hero Mini P.E.K.K.A., but he's one of the more accessible ones. But if you want even faster cycling, with even more bait and maximum disrespect, you're gonna love this. Skeleton King Bait. This might be the most brain-dead deck to climb ladder with, and that's exactly why it's so popular and you see it every other game. Skeleton King. Bait is stupid, aggressive, and stupid cheap, like genuinely. Zero thoughts. Just vibes. The whole strategy revolves around Skeleton King collecting souls from troops that die, then spawning a bunch of skeletons with his ability. Place swarms like skeleton army around him, and when your opponent spells them, you punish by popping his ability to spawn another wave. It's honestly cinema. When your Skeleton Barrel gets evolved after 2 cycles, and your Skeleton Army gets evolved after 1 cycle, they drain all their fireballs and arrows until they have nothing left. They're forced to spell your skeletons over and over while Skeleton King keeps collecting souls. The defensive strategy is insane. Place Skeleton King behind other units on defense, preferably swarms. When those units die, immediately cast his ability to summon a second defensive layer out of nowhere. If enemy units lock onto Skeleton King, he tanks for his spawned skeletons, and they shred everything. He can fully counter P.E.K.K.A., Prince, Elite Barbarians, and Mini P.E.K.K.A. with the ability active because the skeletons constantly distract slow-hitting troops. Fire Spirit and Ice Spirit are 1 elixir cards that let you cycle insanely fast back to your Skeleton King. It's giving speedrun energy. You're playing the game at double speed compared to your opponent. Suspicious Bush catches people off guard when it spawns Bush Goblins. Vines freezes their 3 highest health troops for 2.5 seconds so your skeletons can swarm them. Dart Goblin pokes from long range, staying safe. The deck overwhelms with skeletons until they run out of spells. It's everywhere from Arena 10 to Ultimate Champion because it just works. You don't need skill, you just need to spam swarms and let Skeleton King collect souls. The 2026 skeleton boost made it even stronger too. Skeleton King is easier to level up than most champions, so it's somewhat accessible even though you need a champion. Beginners can climb ladder fast with this because it's so simple. Against good players with spell discipline though, you're gonna get humbled real quick. Like, if they know when to save spells and when to use them, you're getting destroyed. Air troops also wreck this deck completely. Now here's a deck that's a true classic, Hog Rider, Hero Musketeer. If you thought cycle decks were dead, this classic 2.6 with Hero Musketeer is proving everyone wrong, and it's absolutely dominating right now. Hog Rider Hero Musketeer is the most iconic cycle deck in Clash Royale history, and it's still viable in 2026 because of how perfectly it cycles. The whole deck is built around cycling back to Hog Rider as fast as possible while defending everything with minimal elixir. Hero Musketeer is what makes this version broken, though. Her ability places a turret 3 tiles in front of her that acts as a distraction and attracts win conditions. The turret only lasts 10 seconds, so you use it reactively to completely shut down their pushes while your Hog Rider keeps pressuring. The strategy is all about efficient defense into immediate counter pushes. Use your evolved cannon to nuke everything. This completely shuts down bridge spam and punishes them for stacking troops. Ice Golem Kites. Troops to the center for king activations. At exactly 2.6 elixir average, you're cycling back to Hog Rider and Cannon faster than any other deck in the game. Like, they barely finish defending one Hog Rider, and you already have another one at the bridge. Ice Spirit freezes entire pushes, buying time for your cycle. The key is using minimal elixir on defense by perfectly placing your cannon and kiting with Ice Golem, then immediately sending Hog Rider down the opposite lane before they can set up. Hero Musketeer's turret ability is crucial because it pulls win conditions like Royal Giant, Giant, or Golem away from your towers, giving you free Hog Rider counter pushes. Fireball handles medium troops and buildings in the log for swarms. In double elixir, you can stack Ice Golem in front of it. It's a difficult deck at first, but once you learn how to play it, it's like riding a bike. This deck does use a hero, but Hero Musketeer is one of the more accessible ones, and the competitive advantage is worth it. If you master it, you'll dominate ladder and challenges. You defend efficiently with evolved troops and punish instantly. You need perfect elixir management though, or you're getting destroyed. One mistaken placement and their push steamrolls you. Against heavy spell decks or beatdown, you're also struggling because they can overwhelm your cheap defenses. But when played perfectly, it has almost no bad matchups, which is why it's one of the GOAT decks right now.